More disruption on the railways as train drivers from the ASDEF union begin an overtime ban in England.
Good morning. How much does it cost to fill up your tank? We'll find out if you've been paying too much at the pump later today.
It's the first day of Wimbledon. The queues have already begun at SW19 and Fiona Lambden is there for us. Morning.
Good morning. I am at the very front, and to get this prize position, you had to be here 2 days ago at 7 a.m. on Saturday morning. Well, it won't be long before this lot are inside, and that is where John and Carol are.
Yes, Fee, thank you. Good morning. The big news on day one of these Wimbledon Championships is the withdrawal of Nick Kyrgios. The beaten finalist last year in the men's singles is out because of a wrist injury after what has been an injury-ravaged season for him.
And will it stay dry? Well, actually, we are expecting some showers this afternoon at Wimbledon. For most of us, though, we've got rain across the north of Scotland, we've got rain across Northern Ireland, pushing eastwards, and then behind all of that, it's sunshine and showers. So definitely a day for taking the brolly.
A small group of islands in northern Scotland is looking at the possibility of becoming a territory of Norway. Under new proposals, the Orkney Islands could change their status in the UK or become a self-governing territory of Norway. A motion will go before Orkney's council next week to investigate alternative forms of governance. Back in 2017, the Orkney Islands Council voted to look at whether the islands could have greater autonomy. While they wanted to have a stronger voice, they did not back full independence for Orkney. Council leader James Stockin said Orkney may attempt to become a Norwegian territory because it does not get fair funding with its current relationship within the UK.
Police in Wolverhampton have launched a major investigation after shots were fired at a wedding party. Rail passengers face 6 days of disruption because of an overtime ban by train drivers. A group of Conservative MPs is calling for cuts to the number of visas issued to care workers to help reduce immigration. And the MCC has suspended 3 members accused of abusing the Australian cricket team after yesterday's test match at Lord's.
Let's have a look at this morning's newspapers. Starting with The Times, they're leading with the ongoing doctor strikes. The paper reports that Health Secretary Steve Barclay says he is willing to offer doctors a bigger pay rise while calling for an end to consultant strikes so that negotiations can resume.
Labour's plans to help improve schools is on the front page of the Mirror this morning. Under their proposals, teams will be sent to work with teachers in underperforming schools in the most deprived areas. And the paper says Keir Starmer's going to outline his plans for education in a big speech later this week.
Daily Mail is reporting on the suspension of 3 members of the Marylebone Cricket Club over altercations with Australian players at Lord's. The incident happened after England's Johnny Bairstow was controversially stomped by the Australia wicketkeeper Alex Carey. More on that in the Sport this morning.
Yeah, and one of the most read stories on the BBC website right now is reporting that the Orkney Islands could change their status in the UK or even become a self-governing territory of Norway. The council leader there said Orkney doesn't get fair funding at the moment with its current relationship within the UK. I think they're having a vote there or a discussion there on Orkney in the middle of the week.
At one point, apparently in the 15th century, the islands were given as a dowry. That's right. Back to the UK instead of belonging to Norway, and lots of people now want to go back to Norway.
Repay the dowry.
Exactly, let's repay the dowry. One story that caught my eye this morning in the newspapers is about, this is interesting, if you have a cat, vets are going to establish a new blood bank for cats, something that we haven't had here in the UK ever before. Cats, notoriously difficult to keep still. Can you imagine making a cat...
To do anything with.
Yeah, imagine making a cat give blood. Anyway, it's going to happen. So that cats who are really, really poorly will be protected because there will be the first ever UK feline blood bank. That's going to start very soon.
This is quite an interesting piece here in the Times this morning. You know, normally alcohol-free beer sells its peak just after Christmas when people are doing dry January and New Year's resolutions, that kind of thing. But according to this piece in the Times, instead of dry January, you're going to have dry July, that this year record sales of low and no alcohol beer over the summer. Sales up in one of the biggest supermarket chains by 25% compared with last year. Pub sales of low alcohol beer up 23% compared with 12 months ago.
Wow.
And sales of normal beer are falling, saying it's partly people cutting costs, being healthier, and younger people not drinking as much.
And also, alcohol-free beer doesn't taste bad.
Yeah,
Tastes okay.
It used to be pretty rubbish, didn't it?
Yeah, and it's
they've
not
made
as bad as
massive
it used to.
improvements.
Yeah, exactly. It's really popular.
It is. Certainly is.
Let's take a look then at what's making the front pages this morning. And The Guardian has an exclusive poll which suggests that more than 70% of people are frightened that the NHS may have to start charging for care, despite always having been free at the point of use. While The Express says striking doctors have warned that their action for more pay could continue until 2025. Meanwhile, The Times says doctors have been told by the Health Secretary that they can have a bigger pay rise if they end their strikes. While the Mail also claimed an exclusive with a poll suggesting that the government should ease off on its plan to ban petrol and diesel cars by 2030, which manufacturers say would have ruinous consequences for the industry. The Metro leads with confrontation at Lord's between Australian cricketers and members of the MCC who accused them of cheating at the second Ashes Test. And it's the same story there, bracing the front page of The Sun there with the headline, "Out of Order." The Telegraph there reporting on a Treasury telling banks that they're not allowed to blacklist customers who express controversial views. The Financial Times carries a warning from PIMCO, which is the biggest firm in bond management, that dodging a recession in the global economy will not be as easy as the markets seem to think. And the Daily Star there tells us that China is planning to send miners to the moon to dig up material for creating cosmic nuclear weapons. And if you want to see any of those front pages again or read the stories, just scan the QR code, which is on your screen.